Carolina Crusher, and King Crunch, all coming up next on Trucks and Tractor Power. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power here on the Nashville Network. I'm Gary Lee alongside Rich Hooser, and we're standing outside the Tingley Coliseum on the New Mexico State Fairgrounds here in Albuquerque. And Rich, right behind us, the brand new nightlife.
And Gary, TNT allows you to make one major change during the season. Now, Dave Wieczorek made his with a brand new truck. Now, this is his first round of competition tonight with this truck, so he's not sure how it's going to run. Now, a few minor changes we're going to see here tonight. Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger, right before he left his house, he put a brand new motor in it, injected on alcohol. And he's not sure how that truck's going to run tonight either, so he didn't have a chance to get the bugs out of it, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, Marvin Smith with Wild Hair, he also has a brand new engine. He was running carburetors. Now, he's injected on alcohol, so a lot of these guys are not sure how these trucks are going to run tonight.
And speaking of not being sure, being here in Albuquerque with the higher altitude, the air is thinner, and that can really change the performance of the engine. With more on that, we go back inside the Coliseum to the third member of our broadcast crew. Here is Army Armstrong.
Well, Gary, you're absolutely correct. Albuquerque presents a problem these drivers have not encountered this year. The problem is thin air. We're a mile above sea level. Most of these drivers are tuned in their engines to run at sea level to make maximum horsepower. We're a mile up. There's thin air here. Less air means less air density, creates a fuel problem. We got to figure some way to get less fuel in the engines to make the same amount of horsepower. The guy that might have the hot hand on that is standing with me right now. He's a crew chief of Scott Stevens' vehicle. Kevin Ford explained to me the difference in these monster truck engines, what you have to do when you go up with the fuel and down with the fuel, and why you even do it.
Well, with your regular car like you've got on, going up down the highway, you've got what they call a jet in there that determines how much fuel goes in the motor. We've got a pill that determines how much fuel we bleed away from the motor. So what we do is change the pill to take away fuel to compensate for the less air up here, and that's how we, hopefully get our motor to run the best.
Okay, when you say we now, does everybody go up 10 points or down 10 points or left 10 points or right 10 points? Is there a formula for this?
No, there's no formula. It's basically you got to know your motor, know the truck, how it runs, and what you basically need to do to try to compensate for the air.
We're going to be keeping an eye on these guys tonight. And remember, Albuquerque is going to be the place that the man that's got the smarts is going to figure out the hot hand. We're going to find out exactly how the West was won. And the guy that got his fuel right is the guy that's going to go out of here with first place tonight.
Thanks, Army. We'll be right back in Albuquerque with side-by-side monster truck competition, so stay with us. For first-round competition here in New Mexico, this is Bigfoot with Andy Brass, and by virtue of being the fastest qualifier, Rich Hooser, Andy will get a bye run.
Right, and you'll see Andy pretty much take it easy over the set of cars now. He's already got his lane choice. He's got the fastest qualifying time. He does not have to run fast. But now he will get on a little bit just to get the feel of the cars and the track condition and how he's going to run the rest of the night.
And perhaps you can hear the fans in the background. We have standing room only here in Tingley Coliseum in Albuquerque as the fans rise because here is a crowd favorite, Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger, the 1950 Chevy panel truck out of the state of North Carolina. And he goes up against 44-year-old John Moore, driving no problem.
John's been off the circuit just a little while building this new truck. It's good to see him back.
And Moore picks up the victory, but what happened to Dennis Anderson?
Dennis is having problems with his truck. He was working on it earlier tonight outside. He just didn't get that new engine running right, and I think he's pretty much got it flooded out. He just didn't have his fuel mixture right and couldn't make the run.
So the Ford Bronco with John Moore wins it, no problem advances. And here's a look at Bennett Clark in Clydesdale, too, the Chevrolet. He's come all the way across the country from Powder Springs, Georgia, and he'll be taking on Pablo Cruz in Tough Enough. This monster truck is out of Phoenix, Arizona.
One thing I can mention about Pablo's truck is his engine is in the rear, and he sits directly in the middle of that truck. And I think that's going to be a little hard for him to see where he's going.
A very close matchup won by Bennett Clark, and it looked to me that both got off to a very tentative start.
Yeah, they did. Clydesdale pretty much got the jump on him, but Tough Enough was catching up to him. If that track was a little bit longer, he might have had a shot at it.
Well, here's a look inside the cab at Steve Wilkie in USA 1, another driver that has come all the way across the country to compete this weekend in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he will take on Scott Stevens in King Crunch.
And Gary, King Crunch's new name now is the Auto Value Special from the new sponsor.
And King Crunch, the Auto Value Special, takes the victory.
Scott Stevens did a great job here. He blows away USA 1, and there it just goes to show how important sponsors can be to one of these trucks.
And as monster truck racing continues to grow in popularity, we will likely see more and more sponsorship dollars involved. Here's Steve Cain in Awesome Kong, the truck out of Texas, going up against Marvin Smith in Wild Hair from Arnold, Missouri. So a full-body pickup truck against this special creation, only 44 inches wide, Awesome Kong and Wild Hair. And Steve Cain takes the victory in the red Awesome Kong.
Now, Marvin Smith had a little problem with Wild Hair in that new engine. Now, he told me earlier today he had a block of wood underneath his accelerator pedal to keep from giving it too much throttle. I think he should have left that block out of there, Gary.
I think you're probably right as we take a look at the beautiful new creation of Dave Wyeczorek. It's called Nightlife. He built this truck from the ground up, including the paint job, at night, hence the name. And here's Jesse Birgy, and that's Playing for Keeps. And Wyeczorek takes the victory in that brand new Chevrolet pickup.
I can tell you right now, Gary, Wyeczorek is going to be a tough competitor this year. This new truck is just running fabulous. Look at how it handles going over them cars.
And here's Army with Dave Wyeczorek.
David, earlier in the year, everybody was talking about suspension. You built your own suspension. Are you satisfied with it? Is it doing what you think it ought to do?
It's handling real well, Army. I haven't had a lot of time to try it out. It was just loaded on a trailer and come here. So far, it's working real well. I'm really pleased with it, and so far I haven't tore anything up, and it looks going to be nothing but good from here on.
And now Equalizer with a brand new driver, young Greg Holbrook from Lebanon, Tennessee. And his competition, the wily old veteran, Gary Porter in Carolina Crusher.
And, of course, he's a veteran, and Greg Holbrook is new at this sport. Now, he used to race quad motorcycles, the ATVs, in competition.
And it looks like the youngster picked up the victory. Greg by a nose over Gary Porter.
Boy, he just got in that truck and took over. Let's see what he's got to say to Army.
Greg Holbrook, some people are calling it beginner's luck, son. You look like you were born in that truck. It looked natural to you.
It sure feels good. The truck's set up good, and I'm getting used to it real quick. I really enjoy it.
We talked to Gary earlier about choosing you. One of the reasons he said he chose you is because you used to race ATVs. Now, I remember when you used to run, and you ran at the national level, but an ATV is a little bitty motorcycle. What does an ATV have to teach you about driving a monster truck?
They react the same to the jumps and to the cars, the way you hit them. Everything just feels a lot alike.
Second round action coming up on Trucks and Tractor Power from Albuquerque.